I tried being the happy hippie. I tried being the boss babe. I tried being the full-time quilty content creator, but I think I can speak for all of us when I say I'm tired. Tired of trying to build a platform based on who I wish I was and not who I really actually am. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met, I'm Amy. I'm a quilter, quilt pattern writer, web designer, Oklahoma unschool mom, and coffee addict who is here to help other women build a life that they don't need a vacation from. Here's the thing. I have done it all in the last 2 years, 3 years since I started my business. Here's the thing. Social media is changing, and I think it's for the better. We're tired of seeing fake, curated, branded, hyper-niched content that feels forceful or fake or calls us to like our hustle era or to become a rich influencer. The people who have built huge platforms based on this kind of content are starting to collapse. They're selling their mansions, they're selling their cars, and going back to a simpler, smaller life that gives them the freedom to create from the heart rather than constantly hustling to maintain this image of status that honestly doesn't matter. I did something the other day that I haven't done in a really long time. I took a quilting class just for me, not for my business, not to network with other people in the industry, not to share what I did on social media. It was just for me to learn a new skill that I had been wanting to learn for a really long time. But I never had time to work on it because I was so busy quilting for profit that I had lost all sense of joy and feeling like a beginner and the magic of learning something new and mastering a new skill. Let me be clear. I am all in on women making money online. Women have always used their hobbies as a side hustle to make money. Some have become truly wealthy from it. Others have simply found fulfillment, a sense of community, and a little side hustle money from it, and that's fine. There's absolutely no reason for you to chase profits higher than what you're currently at if you're happy. And I'm okay if that's all my business ever is. If it's just something that brings me fulfillment, lets me meet the people that I love working with. I have met so many amazing people and built a community that I really truly feel at home in. And I'm okay if all my business ever is just side hustle money for side hustle hours. It doesn't have to take away from my family time or my sense of peace or my own creativity. And it turns out I don't care if I ever get rich or if I never run a 7-figure empire or even get my name on the cover of a book. That's still up in the air. I might still write a book. In the last year, since I've taken a break from selling on social media and trying to grow my social media and allowed myself space to just show up authentically as I feel inspired, I have found a deep sense of peace and joy in my creativity that I didn't think existed since I started a business. I'm able to enjoy moments with my kids. I'm able to enjoy moments in my studio without trying to turn them into social media content or worrying if the lighting is good enough or if everybody's dressed appropriately or if my space is messy. I'm able to be present in those moments without trying to monetize them, and that feels amazing. But I still have a profitable business. I still do. I'm able to be fully present in my real life without feeling guilty for not working. And then I'm able to work without feeling guilty for not being present with my kids. Having a clear boundary between what is my creativity, what is my business's creativity, and what is work time that is purely for profit has given me room to do some deep thinking about the type of business that I want to build going forward. And it led me to this. I want to build a type of business that feels like an invitation into the life that I'm already living. Not the life that I wish I had, not the life that people online wish they had. The truth is, I live a super simple, cozy life. It centers on creativity, great food, slow mornings, and finding the magic in everyday moments. And if I can focus on that in my content instead of just trying to make money, and I find a sense of peace, even if it means less profit, I am all in. So there's a few things that I'm doing right now to de-influence myself from the hustle culture as a creative entrepreneur, and I'm gonna invite you to join me in a few of them. So the first one is that I'm unfollowing anyone online that makes me feel like I'm behind. all of the Alex Hormozis of the world, anyone who uses numbers in their marketing, 20x your business, 3x your profit, 10x your Instagram following, I'm out. Not only am I unfollowing them, I'm actively blocking them so that the algorithm doesn't accidentally start slipping their ads back into my feed again, because it dysregulates me. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. And the moment I start to teeter into not enough, I feel anxious. Sorry, not sorry to all the bro marketers and the lady bro marketers selling 7-figure systems. I'm out. Number 2, my creative parameter for 2026 is that I'm radically going analog, both in my personal life and in my business. No ChatGPT, no Notion, no online courses, no high ticket coaching, just me, a planner, and a handful of notebooks running everything. So the caveat to this is obviously I have to use some technology to keep doing content, and I love doing content, but I have radically minimized the amount of technology that's required. I do have to film on my phone. I do have to edit on the computer. I do have to use technology for my day job at a fabric company, designing fabrics and patterns. And then obviously building websites for my web design clients requires me to be online. But the creative part of my business and the launching of new products, everything is being planned on paper. I am leaving behind the blue screen frenzy for a slower, more intentional pace with my content creation. And there are a couple reasons for this. One, I am the queen of deleting things. The second I make a plan and then I don't follow it to perfection, I get overwhelmed, I feel like a failure, and I delete the whole thing. And when you write something in pen on a piece of paper, I guess you could rip out the piece of paper, but then you rip out the whole piece of paper and not just the thing that you feel like a failure for. So it's a lot harder, and it feels like a bigger waste of your time and energy to write things in a notebook and then rip them out and throw them away. So it forces me to look at what I've written, look at what I've planned, check things off, make notes as to why I didn't do it. It makes me be more intentional with pivoting a plan if it doesn't work out. And it forces me to be far more intentional with how I'm spending my time and energy. I am learning new ways to create. I stayed in my comfort zone for literally my entire life because, again, if I try new things and they're not immediately successful, I feel like a failure. But it's led me to a place of just sheer boredom with my creativity. When I launched Scrap Academy, I was like, yes, this is it. This is the epitome of quilting for me. I can do this for the rest of my life. And I can. Scrap Academy is fun. Like, I still follow my own course when I quilt. However, it feels like I have mastered that. And now I want to move on to be a beginner in something else. Same thing when I was doing crocheting content many lifetimes ago. I mastered crocheting as a kid, and I can crochet literally anything. And then I just quit. I got bored with it, and I felt like I needed to be a beginner at something else. And that's when I started quilting. Here's the thing, I'm probably not going to stop quilting because I really do love it. But I have started taking classes to learn new things so that I can be a beginner again and have that sense of whimsy and that sense of newness and learn to master a new skill. And honestly, in most of my life, like parenting, running a business, I have dopamine crashes when I have to do something new that I'm not like proficient at. I mentally spiral when I'm not immediately perfect at something. And when I have to try something new, it drains me. So I am using the sense of being a beginner again with new quilting techniques to try to reframe how I approach doing new things so that I don't end up in those dopamine crashes when I'm not an immediate success at things. And hopefully that'll help me be more resilient, both in my personal life and my business. So part of this is because I was one of those stereotypical like gifted kids that did everything right the first try that later ended up with like raging ADHD and anxiety. So I never actually struggled with anything until I became a parent and started a business. And both of those things, like you're never just right with either of those things. There's never like you did this perfectly, congratulations, you get an A, or like you're an utter failure. Everything's in the middle. But for those of us who grew up being like the gifted kid that like always got straight A's, anything in that gray area to us still feels like failure. You're either perfect or a failure. There's no gray area. So learning new So learning new techniques and forcing myself to be a beginner and to suck at something and to have to learn new skills is forcing me to accept that the gray area is also an acceptable place to be. I'm not a failure just because I'm not perfect. Going along with the idea of doing all of my planning analog, I've also purchased a really fun planner, and I am honestly a little bit scared. So I have never made it past January with a planner before. Sometimes I haven't even made it to the end of the first week of January. Again, because I make plans, and then when I don't perfectly stick to those plans, I feel like a failure. I toss the whole thing in the trash. So I have a new plan for this year, which is to, one, I'm using paper planner, not my phone, not my computer, not Google Calendar, not Apple. I'm using a paper planner, and I am writing the big things that have to be done, like appointments that have to be done at a certain time. Those go in the planner for sure. But for the rest of it, I'm planning from behind. And this is something I've learned from the homeschool community that really changed my relationship with educating my kids. And I don't know why it took so long for me to think of doing this like in my business or my personal life. And planning from behind basically means you write down what you did that day at the end of the day instead of writing down what you want to do that day at the beginning. So this forces you at the end of every day to kind of look back and be like, oh yeah, I did do things. Even if I didn't do the things that I thought I was going to do or planned on doing, I did things. And sometimes those, like, especially when you are running a business and you have multiple kids and they're homeschooled, you end up like your whole day gets diverted. All it takes is one kid, snapping their braces and having to have an emergency trip to the orthodontist, and your whole day gets derailed. But often when your day gets derailed, you end up finding greater magic in your day than if you had just stuck to your plan for the day. So by writing down at the end of the day, everything I did, everything I'm thankful for, the meals I made, the places I went with my kids, the magical moments we had, I will end up at the end of the year with a journal of what we did rather than a notebook full of things that are scratched out that I didn't do, making me feel like a failure both as a mom and a business owner. Okay, next, I am radically accommodating my spicy brain. Hashtag undiagnosed. So I have struggled with sound sensitivity, anxiety, and depression my whole life. And I've spent, again, I'm one of those perfectionist girlies. I have spent the last 20 years just trying to like power through and like, I'm better than this. And, I'm not ADHD. I'm not, I don't have whatever. The diagnosis changes every generation, like as we learn new things. So first it was bipolar, now it's ADHD and autism. But anyway, these symptoms that we have as women like have always had some kind of label, and I'm like, I'm not like them. I'm better than that. But the thing is, I'm not. Like, I've struggled with these things for so long, and trying to like power through and pretend I'm okay has left me exhausted. It has left me so depressed and so tired and so like physically achy that I can't get out of bed. And it's also left me resentful and like wanting to burn my whole business down, which I've done multiple times. So I don't ever want to feel that way again. So from now on, not just in 2020, from now on, it is earplugs. It is earplugs, soft lighting, comfy clothes, and saying no to things that make me feel like I'm going to have a crash out. That's a nice way of saying mental breakdown, by the way. And that's like the new phrase for little minty bee. It's a crash out. No. After spending 20 years trying to just pretend that I'm okay when I'm not, I ended up with a horrible chronic illness. And it wasn't until I radically accepted my limitations that the symptoms of that started going away. And now, like, I'm physically the healthiest I've ever been. Mentally, I'm getting there. Like, I'm able to sew, I'm able to do yoga again, I'm able to go places with my kids and still function when I get home. And I refuse to give that up. I refuse to lose that and go back to a place where every little part of my day causes a crash out. So I'm done pretending I'm okay just to make other people. So last, I am pouring all of my time and attention and love into the parts of my life that I already absolutely adore. Instead of constantly chasing something better or looking for something new or trying to make more money or trying to make things better, I'm pouring so much of my attention first into my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my kids, making my home beautiful, making my own creative space beautiful, my pets, my plants, the parts that I just already have and love. Instead of constantly trying to level them up and make them better, I'm pouring my time into just maintaining them. And this isn't new. Like, we have built a life here where we intentionally prioritize creativity, letting the kids learn on their own terms. We unschool our kids, slow mornings, movement. But I've had to miss a lot of that for the last couple of years because I was so busy trying to build my creative business. And I did. Like, let's be honest, I have built it to a point where it's profitable. It's like making a respectable profit. I'm so proud. This year I made enough that we needed to get our windows replaced in our entire house. And when they came and gave us a quote, I was like, yeah, no problem. I saved up for that all year. And that feels amazing. Like, I'm so proud of that. I'm celebrating that. But then in the exact next breath, I'm just like, well, maybe if I worked harder, I would also have made enough money to replace the siding and porches too. I'm not doing that to myself anymore. I'm celebrating my wins, and I'm celebrating what I already have, and I'm pouring my love into that and not letting myself get down over the fact that I haven't leveled up all of it yet. I'm not missing football games. I'm not missing wrestling tournaments. I am not missing art shows to create content. At this point, my business is making just enough money to maintain the simplicity that we are already enjoying, without it being a financial burden. And if that's all I ever do with this, but I enjoy a slower, simpler pace of life, I'm here for it. That's enough. Okay, if you have enjoyed any part of this or resonated with it, make sure you hit the follow button. Go find me on Instagram, follow me at Amy Lawless Creative, and I will see you in the next one.